fall asleep. All right, so this one's been freshly opened. You could tell with the combustion chamber where it has all the soot and residue and varnish, okay? You could tell the head gasket area nice and clean. You can even tell where the head gasket did seal. If you ever do have a head gasket breach, you usually will see where the breach is. It'll give you some indication. The gasket itself will also give you an indication. So always pay attention when you're taking things apart, especially if you diagnose a bad head gasket, okay? Can you tell, I'm gonna kind of slide it. Can you tell which cylinders
Fail.
probably were a little worse than others?
The last one. The second.
This one?
I think this one is worse. The exhaust valve is definitely worse. Now, you could see where, now this could be from the junkyard. You see the rust?
Yeah.
This is from the junkyard. This valve was probably closed and it got condensation, so it was stuck. It was rusty. Okay, so this doesn't mean this is from running. This is not from running. See how it's coming right off?
Yeah.
But this is from running. See this black soot in here? That's from running. Okay? I'm going to try to take this off now. Okay. So you could see that kind of ashy, sooty area. Okay. Kind of nice on the intake, right? Not too bad. Okay. It looks like we had some leakage here. Do you guys see the difference? I could see it even in the camera.
Oh, you mean that little spot right there? that
Right
little
there.
mark?
Right here.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of leakage. It was not sealing.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
So that valve had some issue. It was leaking a little bit past that. So this one might have had slightly lower compression due to that. So you could tell a lot by an engine that has not been washed or taken apart, okay? It should look nice and clean. Now, this is the difference. When you hear people saying they're porting, you see this roughness right here? You can hear it, okay? You get rid of that and you put a nice swirl finish on this and it helps the air and the fuel swirl and come in better, okay? This is a roadblock. The air will hit it and it kind of goes all over the place. So this will show you the difference between a fine piece of machinery and just something meant for consumer use,
Yeah.
okay? This is a generator, right? It's off a hybrid. So, natural to have darker on your exhaust, more carbon because that is what is going out, right? Did you take your spark plugs out?
Yeah.
Oh, you did. Okay, we did notice that before he took them out, that he had actually one that looked like it wasn't all the way put in. It looked, they were different.
All of them.
They were all loose.
They were at different levels. Okay, so we don't know. That could have been someone at the junkyard that was checking it for cylinder leakage to see if they wanted the engine or not. So we don't really know because it did come from the junkyard why they were loose. But if they were all loose, that's highly suspicious. Tells me someone else did it.
Right.
And they just didn't put them back. If you had to crack them loose, that tells me that's still from the customer driving it, okay? So, always look at something before you wash it and take it apart, especially it's gonna help you diagnose it. Or if you need to take pictures of the damage before you warranty something, right? Or condemn something, okay? But you could definitely tell which cylinders worked a little harder. You could tell also kind of where your flame front is. You could kind of see where the fuel and the explosion's happening, and this did have two plugs because it's got a low compression and it's kind of a wide flat surface, so they do put two spark plugs. If you only have one, your flame front's going to start here, and then you're going to lose hydrocarbons over here, and they're not going to light. So they do put two. Okay, so let's turn this puppy over. Okay, the color isn't so bad. It's not that varnished. How many of you guys have seen some that are worse? That are like really brown,
Yeah,
like
like
they
copper
look
almost.
like copper or brass. They're not supposed to look like that. So the oil changes on this was adequate. I would say that the customer wasn't too bad, but you can't tell. Now the valve stem seals were removed, okay? But you can see that there's kind of debris down these guides where the oil probably did leak down some of these guides, especially
Oh, so the seals might have gone.
especially on the exhaust. Okay, got my exhaust ports. This is my exhaust side. So I've got some issue in here with probably oiling on this exhaust side. Bless you. All right, no bearings on the camshaft. Don't be surprised by that. Okay. What else do we have that's interesting? We do have these freeze plugs. Okay. They're not really, we still use the term freeze plugs, but they're actually casting plugs. They're how they make the head and they sand cast them. Okay. They can leak. Coolant is under that. Okay. So they can leak. Grayson has some freeze plugs in his too on that Mini, and they do have a high failure rate and leak. They could give you an indication of a bad head gasket. It's got the steam coming out of the tailpipe. It's losing coolant. And you take it apart, you think it's a head gasket, and it's that freeze plug coming out. So,
How would you fix that? You just put new freeze plugs in?
yes,
Yeah,
they
seal it.
usually, you put sealant and you put it in, or some people have a thread kit. And you put threads in it, and then you put a threaded one in. So it just depends on what the manufacturer wants you to do. It does depend on the casting of the block, too, what it could take. Because if that stretches a lot, then the big one, like, it's not going to really seal well. So
The threaded ones hold more pressure.